Hi, I'm Susie Holden, Lead Organics Recycling Coordinator with Athens Services. We are the largest recycling and waste hauling company in the city of Los Angeles and Los Angeles County. We're proud to service over 30 cities in Southern California, including the city of Los Angeles Recicla areas of West LA, North Central, and Harbor. Thank you for joining our Athens Academy and Recicla event series. Today, we're going to learn about worm composting at your home or office. Our team decided to take on a worm composting bin because we wanted to reduce the amount of food sent to the landfill, and two of us took on this project without any previous experience of maintaining a worm bin. And we were able to learn everything from YouTube and the internet, so we're hoping that this video inspires you to start a worm bin at your home or office. All right, now let me introduce you to our setup. Vermicomposting is a composting process that uses worms to assist with breaking down organic material and food scraps. And here you can see, if you look in closely, all the worms working hard to break down our food and bedding. The type of worms we use are called red wigglers, and they are really amazing for a compost bin because they're able to consume up to half of their body weight each day. They reproduce really quickly, and they love a diet of fruits and vegetable scraps and organic material. And they're really hardy, so they can exist in a lot of different temperature ranges, which is great for a compost bin. So now let's review the rest of the bin. So this we're looking at right now is the active portion. So this is the portion that you would be adding food scraps to. The next bin down is the processing bin. So you're not going to be adding any food scraps to this, but when the active bin looks like it's pretty much empty of food scraps and the worms have eaten through all their bedding, then you move this one down for it to rest a little bit. There'll still be a little bit of worms in here kind of digging through things, but not as much as in the active bin. And then the final compartment is just for collecting any water or leachate that drains from cells decomposing in organic material. So worms like to be wet, but they don't like to be really wet. So you want to make sure that you have a compartment for collecting water, otherwise the worms can suffocate. So now that we've reviewed the different compartments, we're going to go back up to the top layer to talk about bedding types and feeding. So in the top layer, you want to make sure that you add a consistent amount, equal amounts bedding to food scraps. So the bedding can be either shredded cardboard. You can see there's some egg cartons in there. You want to just make sure it's not full of ink. You can also use shredded newspaper, and most of the ink in newspaper is actually non-toxic, so it's okay to be putting in the worm bins. And this is coconut husk, so you can use this as bedding as well. You just soak it in water and it puffs up, and it's perfect because it's like the cardboard, it's really aerated, so it makes sure that there's a lot of oxygen flow and room for the worms to move around within the active bin. So when it's time to feed the worms, what you want to do is move over some of the current bedding that's already in there. And then you put the food scraps down at the bottom. So here you can see the food scraps I have. I have some fresh veggies, and then I also have some stuff from my freezer. So what I do is, instead of keeping food on the counter, I cut things up and keep it in the freezer so they don't attract flies or any other things in my kitchen. And that way I can just add the food scraps maybe like once a week or so. So you put the food scraps here at the bottom. You want to cut them up pretty smallly. You know, worms have small mouths, but also you want a lot of surface area for these items to break down quickly. If you just threw a whole apple in there, it could mold and get really smelly. So as long as the things are cut up pretty smallly, it allows them to break down. So then once you're done with that, you want to cover it up with some fresh bedding, and then you can cover it up with whatever else you have already accumulated in your bin. So the reason for adding fresh bedding is you want to maintain a good composition of wet to dry. You don't want a lot of excess food in there because your bin could start to smell. And then your worms also need a balance of wet to dry because they don't want to be swimming in water like we talked about earlier. So some problems to look out for when you have your worm bin. It shouldn't smell. This bin doesn't smell at all. If anything, it just smells like fresh soil. So if you are noticing any sort of odor, that could be because you've added too much food and the worms can't really get through it in enough time, or the ratio's off, so there's too much food, not enough bedding. It could also be, there's also issues if you see the worms moving up to the top constantly, that could mean it's too wet, so you would need more bedding, or it could be that it's too hot. So the worm bin is ideal because you can keep it inside. You can also keep it outside. You just want to make sure it's in a shady place because it can attract heat and the worms don't like excessive heat. A couple other things I wanted to note about the bin. As you can see, the one we have at our office is something we purchased online that is made specifically for vermicomposting. So we just ordered it and assembled it. But if this is something you're interested in, there's a ton of YouTube tutorials and instructions online on how to make your own from plastic containers, where all you really have to do is drill holes in them. So it's minimal setup and can be a pretty cheap alternative. As you can see, this bin doesn't really take up much space, so it's pretty easy to keep in a workplace setting or in a home setting, in a garage, on the side of a house. And then if you are thinking about doing vermicomposting, I would definitely recommend, especially in an office setting, to have at least 1 or 2 people assigned as point person or worm ambassadors, just to make sure that they are all being taken care of, that regular maintenance is happening, that they're getting fed. You just want to make sure that there's at least 1 or 2 people that are overseeing the worms. All right, so what's the benefit? Why is vermicomposting so good compared to other types of composting? Well, for one, like all composting, it reduces waste sent to the landfill. So instead of your food scraps going into your garbage can and going out to the landfill where they produce a lot of methane gas, they'll be eaten up by these worms, and then you can use them as beneficial soil amendment. As I mentioned before, it takes up minimal space. So this is about 2 feet long, 2 feet high, and 1.5 feet wide. So it can be stored in an office space. Normally that's where this one is, but because of the coronavirus, I've taken it home just to make sure that the worms are being taken care of. And you can keep it inside. So most composting is done outside because you need a large area. But since this is a really self-contained system, it doesn't smell, you're able to keep it inside without it really changing anything about your home environment. And it's a much quicker process than composting. So normal composting relies on microorganisms to break down food, but with the assistance of worms, the food can be broken down much quicker, so you're able to get that beneficial soil amendment more quickly than if you were just composting out in your backyard. And in this processing tray, which is where we saw the more finished compost, that's where you'll take stuff from to put in your garden. So you can either mix it directly into potting soil. You don't want to use it just as potting soil because it'll have too much nutrients and the plants don't need that much and could actually die from that. So you want to mix it into your potting soil. You can actually add small amounts to top dress plants. So that would be for like potted plants. You can put a little bit on the top of them and then water them as normal. Or you can mix this in water and let it sit overnight and create what is called worm tea. So maybe you've heard of that, but that takes the worms castings and the soil amendment that you get from the second tray. When you soak it in water, it makes the nutrients easier to uptake for plants. So that is an option. And then one thing I wanted to note is that even though there is water collected in this bottom tray, it's a little different than the finished compost since it's just leachate, which is the water that's draining from the cells. It's not actually being processed through the worms. So there's varying advice online on whether or not you can use this on your plants, but most of the people who recommend using it recommend diluting it at least 2 to 1 with water, just to make sure that you're not shocking your plants. But personally, I've taken the leachate from our worm bin and put it on our plants, and I've had no issues. They haven't killed any, but I would definitely just recommend to do your research before using that on any plants. All right, thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope you learned something and got excited about potentially starting your own worm composting bin at home or suggesting one to be started at your office. If you'd like more hands-on training, LA Sanitation hosts monthly composting and urban gardening workshops that are open to the public. Currently, these are on break, so keep an eye on their website for when those resume. And then you can always stay up to date with all things Athens by following us here on Instagram, on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter at Athens Services. And if you're a Recicla customer, you can visit la.athensservices.com or recicla.org for more information and outreach material. Or you can call 311 for any service needs. Finally, if you're serviced by Athens, but in another city, you can go to athensservices.com and click on residential or business and select Find My City Services for more info or to reach out to us directly. Thank you.